Hello and welcome back to the Hofcast. We are starting, I guess, what I'll refer to as season two. We started this podcast last year in December, and so this year we're getting an earlier start. And we had some episodes through the summer dealing with recruiting and getting some coaches on here, and just hopefully giving you guys some information about different stuff. But basketball season's back, and we are definitely going to get some coaches on here, just like last year. But one of the differences this year is I'm going to get some players on here. I mean, that was the one thing it wasn't missing. It was by design. But this year I want to try to get some players, whether high school players, college players. I'm going to keep some things a surprise. So I'm not going to give away all the details, but you're definitely going to get to see more players. I want these kids to hear from kids that have gone through recruiting, are playing at the next level, have been successful. I think, the whole grow the girls game that I'm trying to pick up and be more intentional on. I think hearing from these girls are going to be very helpful for current players and athletes. So, episode 1 of season 2, we're gonna get started, and we're gonna go to a local coach, a brand new coach in the area. We got Josh Mason, who is now the North Canton Hoover Vikings coach. Didn't play, came from Tiffin as an assistant coach last year. Coach Mason, I just got to ask you, did you know what you were getting into when you took this Hoover job, with the tradition and the expectations and everything that comes with it?
Yeah, I think so. I'm really good friends with the Walker family. Mr. Walker was our athletic director, and we had a conversation. He did a great job of emulating kind of what Hoover was. But just like anything, it's easier to talk about, and then when you're actually living it, it's a whole different ball game. So I think it was truly apparent to me about the tradition and everything that once my job was announced, I got actually received texts from like 3 or 4 ex Hoover players. They got my number and they reached out and they said like, "Hey, if we can be any help, coach, I played it this year. Welcome to Hoover." And that's kind of like when I was like, "Wow, this is legit." I mean, I haven't even stepped foot on campus yet, and I already have alumni players reaching out. So, um, wasn't quite sure how it was going to be, but it's something I'm certainly excited for.
That sounds outstanding. That had to be one heck of a first couple days. I mean, that's just not normal. Let's just call it what it is. That's not something that happens everywhere. Um, what did, when you got here? I mean, I don't know how long it was before, after you got the job, till you got to North Canton. Once you finally got here, what were some of the things that stood out to you immediately about, maybe not only just the Hoover basketball program, but the community and the facilities and everything?
Yeah, actually, I my first day when I finally got to see the facilities and do everything with that, I texted Coach Jessinger at Tiffin, and I told her, I said, "Man, it's crazy to think this is a high school coming from Tiffin University and seeing all that Hoover has to offer. I mean, with the amount of gyms, the weight room, the different type of gear they get, the locker rooms, just kind of everything about the whole school.
Mhm.
Prior to going to Tiffin, I coached at Cedarville. We graduated 40 kids a year, a little bit smaller than Hoover. So going back into high school and having Hoover being the next gig, it was definitely a culture shock with that. And also a highlight. I mean, it was a highlight for me. There was a Swenson's like 3 minutes away, so that was kind of clutch as far as the community
That's my
for me. So
backyard right over there.
yeah, so I definitely own some stock in that, I think, nowadays. But no, I think what, a couple different times, just going into different gas stations, different area community things, and wearing a Hoover shirt. People always asking like, "Hey, do you work at Hoover?" And then when you tell them you're the girls basketball coach, just the excitement they have, and you can tell it's a very passionate community for athletics, and especially for girls basketball, which again just makes things so much more exciting to be a part of, knowing that you got a lot of community support on that end.
And we were talking the other day when we were arranging this. You got your Jackson Hoover football game in, which I'm sure was a insane environment, and Hoover obviously came out on top pretty decisively on that one. But
yes,
how was it? Well, obviously, I mean, Tiffin has a beautiful gym, but I would venture to say that Hoover's gym is probably what, 4 times as the size, at least 3 times.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot bigger. I'll say that it's a lot bigger. I do miss, I did love the Tiffin gym and everything that offered there, but as far as size, Hoover definitely is a bigger gym.
They, I think most of the time they only open the one side of the bleachers during games, but there are some big games where they have to open up both sides, and some of those Jackson Hoover, Hoover Glen Oaks, those games and McKinley through the years they've opened up both sides, and it was packed. So you're really love game day environment over there at what do they call it, the wind tunnel? Do they still call it the wind tunnel? Or
I'm not sure if they call it the wind tunnel.
There was a time where it was called the wind tunnel, but I mean, I don't think I've seen that in several years. So they might have moved on.
Yeah.
What's the big?
Oh, I'm sorry. You can go. Well, no, I'm just saying about the 2-side thing. I've watched the film for the last several years and trying to just get a grounds on how everything is, from the fans to the players and everything else. And like I told my coaching staff and some of my parents, to me, it's a great goal and shows how well we're doing if we can get those 2 stands out and have some packed houses for girls basketball. With the boys basketball, you're always going to have that. You're always going to have those types of atmospheres. But, I think it's important too that girls kind of feel that atmosphere and be a part of that, not from just a, win or loss standpoint, from just a high school athletic standpoint. So, we're definitely hoping to have those goals of having the 2 stands out and have a packed house and see where that environment takes us.
Did you know when you were interviewing for the job that you had 3 6-footers in the starting lineup with Ange and Grace and Janet, or was that a pleasant surprise after you got the job?
Well, before the interview, I definitely went on YouTube and watched some film and saw and knew the possibility of having those 3 6-footers. So it was definitely, even when you see on film and you see on roster like how tall they are, I still was a little shocked when I went into practice the first day and I was looking up at half the people on the court the first time. But it's also exciting. It's exciting to have and something we're looking to take advantage of. And I'm excited for all 3 of those kids to have great years.
Have you watched any of the Cavs to pick up on maybe some strategy on having 3 bigs on the floor at one time?
For my Cavs fan out there, I'm sorry, but I don't really watch the Cavs that much, especially if I'm trying to learn a lot. So I try to stay to the college realm, high school realm. But no, the NBA, as awesome as it is, and the poetry aspect of basketball, there's also a lot of things we know that can't translate too much to high school. So when I watch NBA, I try to watch it as a fan.
Just so you know, they are starting 3 7-footers. So maybe if you get bored one day, it might be able to get some pointers.
If I'm struggling, you can make sure you tweet at me, hey, you should watch the Cats. I'll take it.
As long as they're doing good. If they got a losing record, you may not want to take much from that. But
right.
What is the biggest transition so far from you? I know, the college game is very demanding. And again, I've talked to several people from Tiffin that have said a lot of great things about you. And they've said that you were very involved last year, even as an assistant. So obviously the college game is very demanding. What's the biggest transition for you going from college to high school?
I think one, I was blessed with the opportunity I had at Tiffin. And there were a couple of things I was able to pick up on as far as, one thing Coach Justinger was big on, and I think I'm trying to emulate that with our program, is the importance of rest and taking care of our bodies. So, 2 years ago, I'm a high school coach that's going 3 hours a day, and you're young, you don't get tired. Like, that's not a thing. And I remember one of the practices earlier in the year with Coach Justinger, she had a practice plan for an hour. And,
Yeah.
and at first I was like, what in the world is happening? But, I think it's a testament of how we, finished in the GMAC and we finished the NCAA. Like, she understood the importance of being a player and finding that life balance. And that's something I'm trying to take to the high school. And I think, with that Hoover rich tradition that our girls have, there are similarities with college as far as the girls want to be in the gym. They want to work. I know it killed like every player during the summer when I was like, hey, take a week off. Like, don't come in the gym. And then they all just went to the Y instead. So, I think that's one of the transition things. Another one is obviously the shot clock. I think I finally got used to the shot clock as a coach, being my first year in college, and then coming back and not having one. I know this is a hot topic currently, but hopefully at some point high school goes to that way as well. But so yeah, between that and then I think another thing that I noticed more in college compared to high school, and I was this way at Cedarville, just being it was Jim Boone that said basketball is the most overcoached sport but undertaught. And I think that stands true for a lot of, high school coaches, as far as we all have our great sets, our sets we want to run. But sometimes we struggle to actually teach the game to whereas in college, that's your main part of your offense is more of the concepts of how to play basketball. So I think just trying to emulate that and bring that to Hoover and teaching them more about the game is going to be one of the biggest things we're going to try to implement here this year.
What do you know about the rivalries? I mean, the Federal League, I mean, you got a little taste of it in football, but I can promise you it is just the same in girls basketball. I mean, Hoover has a rich tradition. Glen Oak in the last 5 to 10 years has been pretty dominant. McKinley goes back many years. Jackson is on the up and up. I mean, those rivalries, I mean, they're real. I mean, are you prepared for that? What have you heard? I mean, how do you get yourself ready for those huge rivalry Federal League games?
Yeah, I think well, one, being at Tiffin, I think that was a great way to prepare me. We're Division II basketball and a conference, probably the best. I mean, the GMAC is probably the best conference in the country. So, every night there, you're in for a dogfight. And, Tiffin and Findlay is a big rivalry. And so getting used to that. And then, coming into Hoover, I mean, like you said, Glen Oak's been really good lately. I mean, we haven't beat Glen Oak in the last 11 times. So I know that's a real thing. And that's something that, we want to make sure we can be competitive with them. And, with Glen Oak and Jackson and McKinley last year, we had 3 or 4 overtime games, 3 or 4 games that were decided under 6 points. I mean, it's a dogfight every night. And I think that's exciting as a competitor, both as a coach and a player. You want to be in those games. Like, that's why you work in the summer. That's why you work in the fall is to play in those tight games and those atmospheres. So to me, I'm just overly excited, man. I'm excited to live it, excited to be a part of it. I think the girls do a good job of trying to explain it to me, like, you don't get it yet, coach, with the rivalries there. My assistants have done a great job of, explaining to me the ins and the outs and how the different gyms are. And so again, I think it's just, to wrap up, is just, I'm overly excited to experience it for the first time.
Yeah. When you first got to Hoover, I mean, obviously with their program, I don't know how much you know about them previously, but I mean, they're very defensive minded. They get after it. They communicate really well. What are some differences that we might see in stuff that you're trying to implement on the floor that, maybe it is a little bit different than what we're used to seeing from Hoover?
Yeah, I think, I had the pleasure of being able to sit down and talk with Coach Allardine. When I first got the job, we did that in July, and she was great. I mean, she explained everything that she did and what Hoover basketball was, and there are some similarities. We are going to take a primary focus in defense, and we are going to try to do what we can to disrupt teams on that side of the ball. It might look a little different, but, we want to stick to the same concepts of, defense is who Hoover is. And we got a bunch of tough kids, and we got to make sure we show that on the court. As far as offensively, there's going to be some changes, just like any coach would have. But, primarily, again, just teaching more concepts, how to play basketball, maybe a little less sets at times, but just getting kids to understand, the importance of using space, and with that space, being able to use their individual skills to make plays for the team. But, I think between the Hoover alumni texting me and talking to the people at school and talking to Coach Allardine, I think it's apparent defense is something they bought into, and that does fall into my philosophy as well. So I'm excited about that, to kind of keep that going, and hopefully, I give everyone a product on the court that they're proud of, and still maintaining those values of hard-nosed defensive team.
Now you have a really, really deep 2023 class. Your junior class is probably the best in the conference overall. And then you got Ange Roshak there as a senior, and I'm sure you got some other kids that are going to contribute. Just for people that are listening, can you kind of give us an idea of some of the kids that you're expecting to make impacts for you this year?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's going to know who Angela Roshak is, like you said, and we're expecting her to have a big senior year. And, we also, like you said, with our junior class, with Grace Craig, I think she's in a position to have a wonderful year as well. And then, two kids that I think are kind of making their way into playing those, bigger primary roles, on both sides of the ball, would be Jana Erickson and Lauren Rose, both juniors. But then we also have some other kids that are looking to make a big impact and have had great summers, with Reagan Jeffries, who's also junior. And then Lily Kane has had a great summer as well. And then Liv Carnelli, all girls that, either swung varsity, maybe played a little varsity, but are having to, step up into a bigger role. And I think the exciting thing about all these kids is, although they're learning a brand new everything, new coach, new atmosphere, new defense, new offense, and they have to play a bigger responsibility on the team. And I think the best thing about all of them is they've all bought into that, and they love it. They want to be a part of it, and they want to do all they can to make sure the team's successful. So that for me is what makes it so exciting.
Yeah. Well, Coach, I definitely appreciate your time. I know you mentioned that they haven't beat Glen Oak in 11 tries, but I can promise you 6 or 7, or maybe more of those games were close. And it was, it could have swung.
Their overtimes, their last second shots, I think you could just make a highlight reel of the last 1 minute of every Glen Oak game for the last 15. And it's just all buzzer beaters, crazy fans. So it's definitely, it's something exciting to be a part of, and he's got a great squad. And so I think it's going to be a fun game.
Absolutely, Coach. Hey, best of luck. I really, really appreciate your time. I know that when you got the job, we got in contact pretty quick, and man, I don't know you like some of these other people do yet, but everybody's had just such amazing things to say about you. So I wish you nothing but the best. I'll be in there. I'll if I'm not if I don't get to a practice or a scrimmage before the season starts, I'll definitely be there for a game.
Well, I'll see you at the game, brother. I look forward to it, and I appreciate your support, man.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Take care.
Bye. All right. So big shoes to fill at Hoover, but Coach Mason, he's definitely high energy. He's full of excitement, and I'm definitely excited to see what he's going to do with that Hoover program. They do have a really, really good junior class, so they got a lot to build on. Now we're going to move to Central Ohio. We got Coach Adam Banks with us. He is the head coach at Dublin Kaufman, and not only are they one of the best teams in Central Ohio, but Coach, I'm sure you're going to try to take the humble road here, but without a doubt, you guys are probably a top 3 team in the state, maybe top 5 for sure. So tell me, how are you guys handling those expectations?
Hey, Rich, thanks for having me on, by the way.
No.
The humble road. We're definitely okay. We're definitely okay. For the last 2 years, really, the girls have done a great job of understanding that we're good enough to beat anyone in the area, and we're also able to play poorly enough to lose to anyone in the area. Central Ohio hoops right now is really good. There's a lot of tough teams, so we know if we don't come to play every night, chance we might get beat. The girls really understand that and believe in that. So it ends up working out for us when we take that approach.
Now, last year, um, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, I'm still young enough to think my memory is pretty solid. You beat Reynoldsburg in the regional semis, and then you came down to a last second shot against Newark uh, that you lost on. So you were seconds and one bucket away from going to the state final four. You know, take us through though that week for you guys. I mean, you obviously Kaufman's had some really good teams in the past, but you were literally on the doorstep. Kind of just go through that and how that was going through it, and then how the team kind of rebounded.
Well, I would say the last month of the season, we really started to believe that we truly had an opportunity to advance pretty far. To start every season, I'm sure there's a bunch of teams that talk about a state championship, and that was something we talked about from the get-go. But it wasn't probably until the last month when we started gaining some momentum and actually believing that we could really get there. We kind of took an underdog approach the entire year, never count us out, fight for every inch, that type of deal. And the last week, really, it's funny, almost our last 2 or 3 games, we actually got down quite a bit, halftime and third quarter, down by, I think, double digits at both the Reynoldsburg and Newark. And we were able to fight back, claw back, and make those close games and actually take the lead in both of those games at one point. And with the Newark game, we ended up coming up a little short. So it was a tough loss for us to be so close to advancing to the Final Four and not ending up in the spot we wanted. But this team is resilient. It's a group of kids that have played together. We have 8 seniors this year. They've played together since I don't know, they say 4th, 5th grade, and then we have a couple juniors in the mix and a few sophomores in that mix as well. So the bounce back is kind of understanding that this is a completely new year. Every game is going to be a new opportunity. Every week, every day at practice, everything is a new opportunity. We're not really resting on what we did last year. It's a completely new team. Maybe a similar goal, but we understand kind of what we have to do to get to the end result.
How does it change, preparation and how you guys kind of do things and how you coach, knowing that, I mean, last year you said the goal was obviously a state championship, but you quite literally were right there and going through that and being there. I mean, there's no better evidence that you can achieve that than being right where you guys were at. How does that change, the preparation and the coaching and whatnot?
Yeah, just it
No,
makes it easier for coaches. It makes it easier for coaches to coach in practice every day because we have that sample size of, hey, this is how close we were. These are the things we need to do to get over that hump. These are the little things that we need to do to hopefully get to that next step. So, I think our coaching staff does a pretty good job of making sure they remember some of the things we could improve on last year, and then kind of identifying those things and making sure we drill it and try to get better so that we don't repeat those mistakes.
Now let's talk about your big three. I know there's more than three, and I think that these are your top three. Covington, if I mispronounce her name, I hope she forgives me. Copier and Grady. Can you just talk about those 3 kids real quick, knowing that they're kind of going to be, the focus and the kids that you rely on the most?
Yeah, so and those 3 are great. But I got to tell you, the special thing about us is that we have 12 kids on the team that are all important. We have, in my mind, we have 12 top kids. So, and I know it's your podcast, but Taylor Covington's one of them. Tessa Grady, Jenna Copiar that you mentioned, Ellie Bakari, Tara Flynn, Julia Flynn, Audrey Monahan, Maya Miles, Veronica Baldridge, Cassidy Laffler, Ava Collins, and Addison McGrath. And we have a couple other sophomores that are going to be in that mix as well. So it's not really a big 3. And I think our stats all last year support that. We had seven different players that I just listed there were all leading scorers throughout the course of the season in one game or multiple games. So, the good thing about us and the special thing about us is it really is a collective effort. And while Taylor and Jenna and Tessa, definitely are good basketball players, it's our entire group. That allows us to be successful. Jenna and Tessa are 2 juniors this year, and they're always looking for more responsibilities. They're always looking to do more. Both of them have been scorers in the past, so they're trying to work on their defense and being known as defenders as well as scorers. Covington is just an all around. She's like a bulldog. I mean, she'll guard you from hoop to hoop. She can get by you. She can shoot it. She's clutch. This entire team, Tara Flynn, she rebounds, she defends. Cassidy Laffler, Julia Flynn, everyone has their own role. Everyone knows what their role is, and they all put it all together collectively. And it truly is. I'm not just saying this. We truly don't. We don't have a big 3. We have a collective team in the truest sense of that word.
Yeah. Well, that's excellent. That's it. Like you said earlier, that's definitely something that makes coaching easier when you don't have to rely on 1 or 2 kids to be the bulk scorers. It really helps. And also, that's huge for team morale when, everybody's willing to do whatever they have to do for the team to win, whether it's score, rebound, defend. So that is definitely a nice culture to have. Which kind of leads me to my next question. I love asking coaches, especially coaches that I, haven't talked to a whole lot, don't know real well. What are some of the fundamental foundations for your program? Obviously, you guys are very successful, so there's got to be some good things that are just the baseline for your program, and they're just non-negotiables.
Sure. I think the first thing is you have to defend. You have to give effort on the defensive side of the ball. If you can't defend, or if you can't at least give effort on defense, then it's going to be tough for you to get onto the court. One of our assistants, Laura Copiar, her biggest thing is rebounding. So rebounding is very important to us. In years past, we weren't always really a big, tall team. So rebounding was very important on the defensive side, and it merges in there with defense. We have to eliminate second chance possessions. That's something we kind of bank on. Shots will come and go, offense will come and go, but defense has to be consistent. So defense is probably our biggest thing. It's something we work on every day. It's something, we take pride in doing. You have to be able to defend. You have to be able to give effort. And then in addition to that, you have to care about your teammate. That's probably, hand in hand. If you don't care about your teammate, then you don't understand competitive sports. So as long as we have an understanding of, yes, I'm supposed to play hard, and I also understand why I play hard. Those are the 2 biggest things you need to understand to play competitive sports. And once they understand why they're playing hard and, for their teammates and for their sisters on the court, the rest pretty much just takes care of itself.
What are some of the things? I mean, you mentioned, vaguely in a few questions ago, but, what are some of the specific things that you guys have to get better at to get from, 1 minute away from a state berth to actually reaching that goal?
Yeah, we were a high turnover team. last year. And we play really fast. We take quick shots. So those turnovers go kind of hand in hand with that. So we've just been improving ball handling, improving our decision making. And I think those are the biggest things that, prevent you from getting to a Final Four with all these teams out here. If you're giving the other team extra possessions, it's going to be tough for you to get on the board, and they're going to have more of an opportunity to score, and it's going to put more stress on your defense. So I think if we can limit some of those turnovers and get down from, the 14, 15, 16 to under single digits, then we'll be in a good spot.
I'm a big believer in playing a tough schedule, especially for teams that are competitive and they have high hopes. I know you guys are coming up to Canton to play Laurel at Glen Oak right before Christmas. But talk about your schedule and who did you guys schedule this year, and what are you looking forward to in that regular season?
So we're all over the place this year. We only have 9 home games. I'm looking at our schedule here. We start off playing Westerville South, who's going to be a really good team this year in the area. Then we go to Pickerington Central, who's competing for a state championship. It seems like every other year.
Sure.
Who else do we have on the schedule this year? We have Marysville on the schedule this year. They were a district. They made it to the district finals in our league last year. We have Glen Oak, we're going to Glen Oak to play Laurel. We're playing a team from Philadelphia. It's called Imhotep Charter Institute. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but it's a team out of Philadelphia. Should be high profile. We've got Gahanna on the schedule this year. Gahanna comes to Kaufman. They're going to be a solid team. We're playing at Classic in the City. I believe we're playing a team from Indiana. For the name kind of escapes me right now. I believe we're playing Princeton in an exhibition game from Cincinnati. We have Centerville on our schedule this year. We've got a couple good teams in our conference that'll be tough. And that's about it. Another team in there in the mix from Cincinnati, I believe Sycamore at some point as well. So our schedule, we wanted to play really tough teams because we want to be able to win tough teams and tough games in the tournament. So this is a group that is highly competitive, but they don't really get caught up with wins and losses in the season, because at the end of the day, wins and losses in the season don't really matter. So we want to make sure that we're prepared and ready to roll once tournament hits, that we play everyone that we may, end up facing the tournament, or the styles of play that we might end up facing in the tournament. And we're going to go from there, but it should be a fun and exciting season here.
Absolutely. Coach, I want to thank you for your time. I know you're a coach that I just recently connected with, and you've always been really, really kind to me, and obviously you gave me your time tonight. I hope to see you guys. Obviously, I definitely will see you at Glen Oak, but I would love to see you guys even more than so. Well, let's definitely stay in contact. I will definitely be keeping an eye on you, because you may be my number one team in the state. So don't feel any pressure.
Hey, Rich,
but
thank you. And I'll tell you what, I got on the podcast thinking this was like a radio thing. So I woke up, took a little nap, woke up. I'm like, I don't have my Kaufman shirt on or anything. I realized it was a broadcast. So
no, baby, we are live. We are live on film, and you can't hide from anything. At least you got a fresh face. I mean,
hey, there we go.
You look a lot different than I do.
Hey, that's all you can do. Just show up.
Coach, I appreciate your time. Good luck to you and your ladies. And I'm a big fan of Taylor Covington. I know she played in our AAU program this past year. Man, that kid, might be one of the most underrated kids in the state for sure.
I agree with you. I agree.
So, hey, best of luck. We'll definitely catch up. And hey, man, give it everything you got this year.
Yep. We'll see you soon, Rich.
All right, Coach.
Thanks.
Take it easy.
Bye.
All righty, man. Another great program. I mean, that Dublin Cough, I know coaches don't like when I say how good they are, but, that's just kind of something they're going to have to deal with. call it like I see it. When you're that good, it's nice to probably hear it, but it is probably always a challenge to kind of keep kids grounded. So they probably don't want to hear it all the time. But, that's the price of putting hard work in and being good, I guess. While we're on the topic of being good, we got ourselves a visitor here, Taylor Strock. Taylor, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Not bad. Is that big TV in your dorm room?
No. I'm in the library.
Oh, you're the
I
library.
wish.
You're clearly not using your 6-inch voice.
No. I got my own little room.
Oh, okay. So you're in a little office. I got you. So, hey, party it up. Be as loud as you want to be. No, first of all, how the heck have you been doing? I haven't seen you, since April? I mean, you're a big, bad college freshman now. How's life?
I'm doing good. It's good. College was definitely a big adjustment. But we had COVID hit us pretty hard in the first 2 weeks. So we've just been having some quarantining. But now everyone's healthy and I'm in a routine now. And the season started about a week ago and things are going really well now.
Well, for people who don't know who Taylor Strock is, let me brag about you for a little bit. Obviously, you just graduated from Napoleon last year. You ended your high school career as a state champion. If I forget anything, let me know. Division II Player of the Year. Full ride scholarship to Cedarville, which is an outstanding college, and I mean, you guys are pretty stacked, so no pressure. The reason I wanted you on here, obviously, I like you a ton, but you grew up in a program or a community at Napoleon where a lot of people, they want to experience what you experienced. I would like to say that this is why a lot of kids play high school sports. I mean, to be supported by your community, represent your community, hopefully do some really good things, and make everybody proud. And luckily that don't always come down to wins and losses, obviously, but you've been through the gauntlet as far as, so representing your community. Obviously you ended at the highest level. Just kind of with the start of high school basketball season, I wanted to get a perspective of somebody who's been through this. Just tell me, what did Napoleon mean to you? Obviously, you're going to be a Napoleon kid for your whole life. Your parents are teachers and coaches, and but just tell us what that meant to you growing up in that community and what it was like.
I would say the biggest thing for me personally was my parents were teachers there my whole life. And my dad was the head football coach for as long as I can remember. And so I think what comes along with that is you just grow up having a lot of school pride. And Napoleon was all I knew. And just little things like when I was younger and I would see other kids maybe wear a T-shirt from another school to like class, I'd get all mad because I'm like, no, we're Napoleon. And just things like that. Like I just had a lot of school pride growing up. And so entering high school, just wearing it again across my chest just meant a lot. And it just meant something different, I think, than any other jersey you would put on, especially being the smallest school in our league by a lot. Our identity was just grit. And so I think that's a lot of what Napoleon stands for.
Now, can you remember back? I hope you can. I mean, you're still a young lady, but do you remember back in like 6th, 7th, 8th grade before you got into high school? How was the program, and what was it like to grow up and be an important factor on how they continue to get better and be competitive on a state level?
Yeah. I'd say around like junior high, and the point was just girls basketball. They were always really solid, and they just really had to battle with every game. We were always undersized. We're playing against teams like Perrysburg, who are like 4 times our size, and we just really had to battle. And I just remember 6th, 7th, 8th grade. I had a lot of good teammates in my class, and I think the biggest thing was we were just so excited to get up there and have our shot. But not only were we excited, was we were just in the gym like every day, and when you put in that work, it makes you more excited because like you deserve to have a successful career in high school, and you put in the work to win games. And so I think junior high was just really exciting, especially we've always had good coaches in our program, and we knew we were capable of a breakthrough and just starting to win games every year. We were just kind of about average each year, and we knew we were really close to a breakthrough. And I think that's what got us in the gym every day.
When did you realize that? Like, when did you realize where we could be more than just the best team in our league or one of the best teams in our league? We might actually be able to take this thing even further. When did that really hit home for you, and it's something that you guys really believed?
I would say I really thought that my freshman and sophomore year, we lost in the regional semis at Ohio Northern to Toledo Rogers and Zaya Cook. And freshman year, we just kind of thought like, it was a good year. But then sophomore year, we were up at halftime by I think like 2 points, maybe 2 or 3 points. We ended up losing that game, but I remember after that game, we knew the next year was it, and we knew that was our breakthrough, was when we should have won that game. And I think that was the biggest thing, seeing we could compete with the best team in the state.
Okay, and I always hate bringing these things up, but it's probably going to happen for the next several years, as many people that I talk to that this happened to. But you guys obviously did make that breakthrough. You got to Columbus, and then COVID ended your season. As the leader of that team, or one of the leaders of that team, what did you have to do to keep the kids focused, motivated? I know some of them graduated and didn't get to take the following season with you guys, but what, as a leader and someone that the other kids looked up to, like, what was your role there, and how hard or easy was it to keep everybody focused?
I think the biggest thing was you had to have a chip on your shoulder, but only to a certain extent. You had to use it as motivation, and you couldn't just pout about it and just say like, oh, we should have played that game and we should have won. It got to a point where you knew that a lot of people were going to respond that way. And so we had to be the ones that were going to be different, and we were going to be doing our workouts at home when we were in quarantine, and we were going to be the ones going on runs every day, and we were going to be shooting in the driveway every day. And I think that was just the perfect opportunity to get even more ahead, because obviously we were at state that year, but it was just a great opportunity to do what others weren't going to do during that time of rest for everyone.
So when you won your state title, I can honestly say that it was one of the most proudest moments I've had with one of the kids, with kids that I've been close to and got to work with, to see you guys win. And I knew that game was over long before it ended. So it kind of was, probably really helped your parents too, that, some of the stress was off early in the game, or earlier in the game. But, what was that like? Not everybody gets to experience that. Especially, man, you guys packed Dayton Arena. Your fans are insane. And somehow, probably your dad's connections got tickets for the other, the tickets that were available for the other teams. Somehow they got in the hands of Tori Strock. But, just tell us, like, what does that feel like, knowing that you've worked, longer than probably you can even remember towards that goal, and it was finally realized?
it's a feeling you'll never be able to put into words, because I have a million friends I grew up playing with that have put in work, and they come in early mornings and stay late for practice. And I just have a lot of friends that put in a lot of work too, and I know that they just never got the opportunity to be in that situation. And the fact that we actually finished it and actually won it all is just incredible. And it really is just a God thing. I'm just so thankful that that was his plan for us. And that's all I can really say. Like, there's just no, like, it was really pure joy. Like, I don't know if I've ever experienced something so amazing like ever in my life, because that accomplishment was something that takes your whole life to do. And so it's really just a God thing, because anyone in this world can put in the same amount of work I did, but still may never be a state champion. And so I'm just so thankful that that was his plan for my team and our coaches.
Now, after the fact, looking back at, when you started and, things that I just asked you about in the middle school, where you guys won a lot of games, and then you get into the high school, you get into regionals, and you get within a bucket or two of advancing, and then you finally get there and it ends. Then you get there again and you win. What were some of the things that took you guys from being a good, maybe really good team that won a lot of games to a team that was the best in your division? Looking back at the journey.
I would say that our program in particular, not saying this would work for like everyone, but for us, it worked to go in every day. And our practices were pretty similar every day. It was always changed up a little bit, but they were pretty similar. And we just went in every single day. And Coach K, our coach, he really held us to a standard of not going through the motions. And if we were, he would let us know. And I just think that that's just one of the biggest things. Was in practice, we were locked in every single day. And if we weren't, you could tell, because our coaches let us know. And I think just making that jump starts in practice. And it starts in the off season, but you can practice all you want in the off season. And if you don't take advantage of stuff once practice starts and do what you're capable of, it's just nothing happens with that. And so I'd say definitely just busting your butt in practice and just doing all the little things well and just playing hard.
On a little bit of a more broad topic, is your recruitment went pretty well. I mean, you've been a well-known player in the state even since you were young. You got offered by, I think you refer to Cedarville as, if not your dream school, pretty close to it. It was up there even before you got the offer. So in that respect, it did go pretty smoothly for you. But what any younger kid that's listening to this or may come across the podcast, what are some things that you would tell kids that are going to be going through the things that you had as far as recruiting, just to, any advice that you can give them as far as that process goes?
So something I struggled with a lot during recruiting is coaches like come and go. Like, they'll talk to you for 2 years maybe, and then all of a sudden, you're not on their radar anymore. And I think the biggest thing is you just have to know that it's going to work out, and that wherever you're supposed to be, you're going to be there. And I think it hurts you to think like, I'm supposed to be playing at this level, so I'm not going to pay attention to these schools. I think you just have to understand, like, the level you're supposed to be playing at, those coaches are going to come to you. And I had a lot of late nights where I'm just staying up, just praying to God, and things just didn't seem like they were working out for a while. And he opens the doors. And so I think the biggest thing just in high school is you need to just wake up every day with the mindset, like, you're going to win the day. You're going to win the practice. You're going to win every drill in practice. You're going to win every game you play, every possession you play. And if you're just a good person and you work hard in everything you do, coaches are going to want you and they're going to find you. And so I think the biggest thing is just focusing on being a good person and just working hard in whatever you do. And coaches are going to want you and you're going to be where you're supposed to be.
And I know one thing that I really liked about you and you know, a lot of the kids that we had in our program are the same. Well, maybe I think all of them, to be honest, but I just double checked and you were ranked the 41st best player in Ohio in that 21 class, despite being a state champion, despite being the Division II player of the year. You know, and that never bothered you. Like it's not anything you ever asked me about or mentioned. You never even talked about it one time. I think that's it. We are unfortunately going in the direction that rankings are becoming so accessible and watered down that there's so many kids are so obsessed with it, and it's really, really getting in the way of them being recruited, of them reaching their potential, like yourself. So I really appreciated that about you for the longest time. And like I said, I just checked. You're still the 41st best player. It'd be somebody's mind, which is absolute hogwash. So, you know, I'm really excited for you. Real quick, how has the transition been for you from high school to college? Now, this is something that a lot of kids, you know, it's a wake-up call usually. Because they think, oh, this is great. I'm going to college. I'm going to play college basketball. You know, give some of these kids some cold hard truth about, you know, the transition from college to high school. Let them have it. Coach Jason and Coach Kelsey, they're not going to worry. You know, they're not listening.
I mean, they might be.
And they'll appreciate your honesty, I'm sure.
Starting with like school wise and stuff, like my major is exercise science. So like I'm in a lot of gen eds right now, but it's just a tough major in general. And so with classes, I'm in class like from 8 a.m. till 3 every day, like a lot of studying. I'm like never on my phone anymore. Like I just don't have like I don't have time for TikTok anymore. I don't have time for like any of that.
That is such a travesty. No TikTok time.
Everyone says time management is the biggest thing, and it really is. Like if you're used to procrastinating, like you have no time for procrastinating with anything. And with basketball, there's been a lot to adjust to. I think one thing is the 3-point line got moved back, so we share it with the men's now. And so that just affects a lot, not just shooting, but just closing out on defense and stuff like that. And girls are just bigger, faster, stronger. And you need to play a different way because of that. And I've spent some time talking to my coaches lately and the other girls and just learning, because there's just things that maybe I'm doing wrong in practice, but I think I'm doing them right because that's how we did it in high school and that's what worked in high school. But there's just a lot that has changed because everyone's good. Like you don't have a drop off in college. And so I'd say like some advice with girls like making the transition is communicating with your coaches with what they see, because there's just been a lot of things like maybe I thought I was doing good, but that doesn't work in college. So the 3-point line is just one example, and there's a lot of others too, but yeah.
I know you said you just got out of practice. Have you had any of those 6 a.m.ers yet or 5:30 a.m.ers?
Yeah, we haven't had too many morning practices, but those are honestly nice because then you can spend all night doing your homework. But we have morning lift, not too like once or a couple times a week. It's not too bad at all.
I can't ever remember thinking getting up at 5:30 or 6 as not too bad. So you're certainly tougher than I am. You know,
we're forced to get used to
it. How's Carly Anchor down there? Another one of my favorites. Are you guys roommates?
Yeah, she's killing it.
I'll bet you guys get after it in practice.
Yeah, we were actually on the same team today. That was a miracle.
I'm
But
really
yeah, we're
excited.
roommates.
I'm definitely excited to see what you guys are up to. Two more questions. Number one, your dad, Tori, he's literally one of my favorite people in the world. That dude is just tremendous. What are some of the, maybe if you just want to say one thing, but what are some of the things that your dad had told you or instilled in you that, just in life and competition that you couldn't have done without?
There's a lot that I could say, but I think that I think something I appreciate like the most about him is I can say that truly like after any basketball game, I was excited to come home to them because they never once will bark in my ear about anything. People are shocked when I tell them like my dad doesn't coach me on anything. Like he never gives me advice about basketball. Like he rarely, honestly, even really rebounds. He likes it to just be my thing and let me do my own thing. And I like how he's not always just trying to coach me. I'll just come home. He'll like, even if I had the worst game ever, he'll be like, "Oh, you'll get the next one." And I think that's cool. And I think the thing that motivates me most about my dad is he just always says like, "You find a way. Like winners find a way, and you just get it done." And yeah, my dad just kind of motivates me in that way because he just has so much grit and he's such a competitor. And I think I get a lot of that from him, and he just inspires me to like live that way too.
Yeah. I really wish we had more parents like Tori. Honestly, like a lot of these kids' confidence issues and inconsistency issues. I know parents don't want to hear this, but a lot of that is due to the parents. I mean, when these parents put so much pressure on these kids, like you almost always play well. I'm sure there were games where you weren't exactly happy about how you performed, and there's probably even much fewer games where you actually truly didn't perform well. But you never played with that pressure that you had to be perfect because you were going to disappoint your parents, or you were worried about what they were going to say, or you knew when you got home that was it. They have some parents have a whole list of things that their kids did wrong. I just wish there were more parents like that. I wish some of these parents realized that their kids would probably be just a tad bit better if they didn't put so much stinking pressure on them. So I love that point, and I can see that totally. I've actually, more than once, I've watched a Napoleon game with your dad, so he's always been a pleasure to sit next to.
He just sits there like this the whole time, just the whole time.
Yep. And it probably helps that he's a football coach and he kind of understands that aspect of stuff. Last thing here, I want to get your input. I'm putting, hopefully I've done a great job, in the past, but I'm putting more of an emphasis on, growing the girls' game and putting more spotlight on it and trying to do some different things. From a player's perspective, what are some things that we could do, to grow the game or make it a little bit more special, as a player who's been in it for years, and thank God you got 4 more years that I get to watch. But what are some things from your perspective that we could do better or differently to get you girls more of a spotlight?
Well, honestly, like I think something that's really great about Team Huddle and the program is it just really focuses on what basketball is all about. And I think in so many programs, it's a fashion show, and it's about the shoes you wear and how high your shorts are rolled and stuff like that. And I think Huddle just does a great job of making basketball what it is. And I think when coaches watch Huddle teams play, they want your girls because they're just classy and they do things the right way. So I think not conforming to the world and to that culture is the best thing you can do, and to just stay true to the morals and that you place on your players and just your expectations.
I appreciate all that for sure. We're blessed, and I can never stop thanking Kuzi for bringing us and your family together. If it wasn't for Kuzi, I probably would have known who you were, but I wouldn't actually know you. So, man, I am so thankful for that guy for many more reasons, but that's definitely towards the top. So, well, you guys start in what, 3 weeks? The 12th, August 12th, or August, November 12th.
Yep. We have a scrimmage next Thursday at Central State, and then we'll get started on games.
Well, I definitely wish you nothing but the best. I know you're going to be tremendous. I've talked to your coaches a couple times since you've been down there, and they've had nothing but great things to say about you, except for Kelsey. Sometimes I'm just kidding. I'm excited to see you guys play. I don't know when that's going to be, but you can guarantee I'll be down there to see you. So I'm really excited, and I'm very thankful for our relationship, and man, couldn't be more proud, Taylor, for sure. And I'm sorry I missed your birthday on Twitter. Man, I blew that. I even texted your mom. I texted your mom the morning of your birthday to get some pictures because my phone got wiped when we were down to Roses this year. I was really upset about it, but
did she send you any pictures?
He did, and I still forgot to post them. So
there's next year. There's always next year.
I'm getting old, so you got to excuse me. But again, thank you for your time. I know you're busy studying, and I know you're going to do a great job down there. I can't wait to see you.
Thank you so much, Rich. I appreciate everything you do for girls basketball and just for me and my family. And I'm definitely where I am today because of you. You're a huge part of it.
Oh, I hate when people say that because I know that you would be playing at Cedarville whether I was in the picture or not. I promise you that. I'm the lucky one. So I'll probably be giving you some calls or texts in the summer to hire you to work some camps and stuff. So,
I'd be down.
Yeah, keep your phone close. I know you can't be on your phone much now while you're studying, but
I will.
You'll have some TikTok time again when school ends.
I know. Hopefully.
All right, Taylor. Hey, keep after it. Tell Carly I said hi.
All right. I will. Thank you.
All right. Take it easy. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that'll do it for today's show, man. That was awesome. 2 coaches, Coach Mason from Hoover, Coach Banks from Dublin Kaufman, and then Taylor Strock just shared a lot of information with us. I hope girls that are still playing listen to that and take some of that advice and just kind of hear what she had to say. We'll be back next Tuesday. I'll be doing this every Tuesday during the season. So we got a lot more guests coming up for you. I hope to have you guys back next Tuesday. And that'll do it for today. Thanks for listening. Just remember, treat everybody right. Do something good for somebody. And please don't be fake.